Dun 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 dun. Nah, this isn't like something super anticipated. This was actually, I was surprised to see this coming out in English. So
Seki in the corner. Who's the fairest of them all?
me.
Bullshit.
So welcome back to another off the shelf. So I was actually quite surprised to see this come out in English. This is not one I would have expected. So this is Not So Wicked Stepmom, as in SEW, so. I've read this. I read this a while back when it first started coming out. Obviously, I feel like I have to say this about a lot of these because I've read basically all of them at some point or another. But I actually never read past where book one ends. Like, genuinely, did not read even online past book one ends at this point. And I really did not. I'm gonna be honest, maybe this is just my assumption, but I never picked this one as something that would come out in English in paper. Like, I didn't think this had that much of a following and push behind it. And it's not like it's particularly, like, super new or super old. I mean, the original came out in 2021, first published in Korea in 2022, and then English translation in 2021, right? So I didn't really expect it, to be honest. It's not one I would have guessed. It is a transmigration. It is royal, vaguely Western-ish. And the premise is, right, like, once again, like many of the books that I've been forcing Nick Nack to read, this woman from Korea transmigrates into the Empress's body after she kills herself. But the main goal of the story is not romancing the main man. It's the daughter. She's obsessed with how cute her stepdaughter is. And the previous woman in the body, the Empress, treated the little girl like shit. And she's like, I will fix that. But she is also a creepy motherfucker.
So
this bitch obsessed.
I feel like you've not said the most important part here.
What?
This is Snow White fan fiction.
It is. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Blanche. Blanche is the white-skinned, black-haired girl.
She even calls out that she was reincarnated into Snow White.
Yeah.
Like Snow White by name.
Yeah.
The main character, yeah, you said it, Blanche, white.
Yeah, genuinely. And this bitch creepy. She is obsessed in a weird way. Like, we get some of the greatest panels of, like, creepy lady, you know?
No, it wasn't this.
What?
I was thinking of a very particular panel. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, there are some weird ass panels in this book, and I love that. I personally think that the Cthulhu-esque nature of her hair and face at times is endearing and charming, one could say. But obviously the people around her do not agree, judging by the looks of horror when she does this. And honestly, if I was a child faced with that, I might also not find it particularly, what's the word? Reassuring? Yeah. Maybe I would not, like when you're seeing shit like that panel, right? Like that's creepy. That's creepy. So I think I had read this originally. I was reading a couple stepmom style versions, right? Because I've read maybe 8 or 9 stepmom transmigrations, like various, like, I became the villainess's stepmom, I became the villain's stepmom,
Why incorporate a hot MILF side character into your manga or manhwa when you can just make the main character the hot MILF?
Yeah, exactly. Also, I will say, I do think that the pacing of this book is not terrible, in that, and I mean that specifically in that, from what I remember when I was reading this, right, something's going on, right, in the background, and I do like the hints we get at whatever's fucked up in the Emperor's psyche. Like, man's got problems beyond just not wanting to marry, and we do get a slight hint at them in book 1. Very slight. And to be honest, I think this book probably could have benefited with us reading 2 volumes, but the second volume just isn't out yet. It's not. It's going to be months. So. So how did you, I don't think you felt super positive about this. It's a little off, a little weird.
So, I wouldn't have read it in one sitting if I actively didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem is, when I was looking at the stack just now, I completely forgot about this book in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because of all the books, it's the one with the least proactive protagonist in the plot.
Yeah, she's
Things just
kind
kind
of
of happen to her, or she stumbles into a scenario and is like, I'm going to buy something for my cute stepdaughter.
and then procrastinate over whether or not to give it to her for a chapter.
Like, yeah, there is this, like, who assassinated her originally plot going on, and what's going on with the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't give a fuck about any of that.
Those are largely connected from her. She doesn't really care about them.
Yeah.
Her concern is entirely on Blanche.
And I was kind of disappointed to see in the book that while Blanche is adorable, they don't really do much with the relationship between Blanche and the, I don't remember her name, the stepmother.
Abigail.
They don't do like Abigail, like most of Abigail's interactions end up being with the Emperor, which when the entire thing is the premise of what if Snow White's mother or stepmother had a sudden change of heart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested in the relationship between the stepmother and the Emperor. I'm more interested in the stepmother and Snow White's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really get a lot of that. The stepmother just unconditionally likes Blanche, and Blanche is barely a character.
She doesn't interact much in the first
No.
volume. And I think, like I said, I appreciate that we did get to see some of what's going on in the background in volume 1. Because we've had books where we haven't gotten to see what's happening. But in this case, it's not a very large volume. And I'm going to be honest, I think the reason why I never continued this myself was because not so much was happening.
I mean, there's cute moments. It's cute.
Yeah, there's adorable moments. The matching bunnies in their outfits, super adorable, right?
I'm not opposed to reading another volume of this, but I'm worried that that Abigail is going to develop Katarina syndrome, where things just kind of
happen.
Yeah.
And because her attitude has changed, things go well for her, but it's not because she is actively trying to make significant changes. I think I would be interested. Here's what I would like from the series, and I can say this because I haven't read any further. I would like her and her mirror and her loyal little maids to start scheming. I want them to actually start being proactive.
If they did that, that'd be interesting, but
yeah.
At the same time, this is why I'm worried. That doesn't feel like the character we've established here.
No, not so far. Which is interesting. I may read ahead on this before the next book comes out, I'm going to be honest, because if I read ahead, that may make or break whether I actually keep my pre-order for the second volume, and we will have to see.
Again, I didn't hate it. It's if you're looking for something cute, this is cute.
Yeah. And it is absolutely, it does have a fair amount of comedy in it. And well done comedy, I would say. The kind of the main recurring gag is her creepiness. And they do have a fair range of ways to use that. Like, they have used that in several different ways. And I do appreciate it. You know? Like, that's, I wouldn't say wholly unique, but it is not the most common trope to give a transmigrator, you know? Creepy Cthulhu-esque moments. I've only seen that in 2 or 3 other series total. And one of them was less creepy Cthulhu and more beat the shit out of the rest of the main cast. Physically. Which was very amusing. And I really hope that one gets a paper book. Because I have to admit, it was very cathartic to see kind of one of these novels where the main character's solution was, let me just beat the ever-loving, physical, bloody shit out of every problem that comes my way. something very cathartic about that. So I do appreciate that, adding those weirder bits to the transmigrators. I think that's probably. I recently I reread this when it arrived the other day, and I think that's mainly why I think I was willing to purchase a copy. So I will be interested in seeing what happens. I may go read ahead on my own and decide whether or not we're going to be continuing this. Because to be honest, if nothing changes or nothing develops in like another book equivalency, I probably won't have us keep reading it, just on the basis of we have other things to read that are more is happening. It's always something we can come back to later if we needed something. Yeah, I think that's my opinion on it. So we'll see you next time. Definitely not with this. It's going to be a while before the next book comes out. But we'll be back with more off the shelf. So see you next time.
Bye.